Yeah. Thank you, Rumi, for your invitation.
Sookoo.
Yeah.
Well, can I call you Sookoo? People who don't know you, well, may have heard your voice on many calling programs, are unaware of the value that you bring to Solution Sports. But before we go into sports, walk us through what it was like growing up in the 60s, 70s, and 80s in St. Lucia. Let's set the backdrop.
Well, I mean, it was, very, very nice. By the way, what's aficionado? That title you give me there. You're good at giving people titles, you know.
No, when you're
Down here.
the unofficial
You know what they call it?
record keeper.
You know what they call that? Sukulang. Tongue.
There you go.
Yeah, the tongue could say anything. But yeah, by school days, like Mighty Sparrow saying his song, school days was happy, happy days. You know, we get it good. You know, we played, we hardly fought. When we fought was something that was nothing too serious. You know what I'm saying? People didn't get hurt like that. We fought, we played a lot. We played so much because we didn't have distractions. And we enjoyed each other's company growing up. And from primary school, we found we had bonds, you know. I mean, we bonded so well, you know, growing up, that these things last forever, you know what I mean, because sometimes if you meet people you went to school with from the beginning, and, you know, you reminisce, and then you might forget what you're doing, and it takes so much time because it's you know, it was so nice at that time, these times there, and but sports-wise, because you know, we're talking sports, I went to Anglican school, and from a very early age, like, I mean, being in the, you know, growing up in the CDC, you realize that you have to be doing something. If you're playing a little wind ball cricket, a little football. We used to have our own little sports, athletics, something. You have to be into something if you have to be in the line, you know, with the rest of the youths and things. So, but so growing up, you know, we didn't really choose, you know, I want to be a footballer or I want to be a cricketer. You play everything. But my interest in football, it really, what really triggered that is there was a competition we used to have among the schools, the primary schools. At that time, they call it Wage Shield. The primary schools in Castries and SMC Form 1 students, because it was a kind of age limited thing, sort of thing. I used to take part in that, and we used to, like, you know, Marshall School, RC Boys School, Methodist School, Anglican School, SMC, you name it. And then, and we had, you know, the privilege of having a coach from that time. Imagine that. Our coach, could never forget that. A gentleman, this is Gregory Braffett. And you know Gregory Braffett, from that time, Gregory Braffett had a gym. And he introduced us from a tender age, 9 years, 10 years, to gym training and so on. Imagine that. The modern footballer, there are people, so many footballers playing football, and they don't even get an opportunity to do gym training. And we
You had that back in the 60s.
but yeah, and you know.
So you see, we may have regressed.
So playing football with the youths and around the place was one thing, random, just running ball and playing small goal or whatever, playing on the beach and so on. But then to get into the discipline of organize with a coach, you know, to learn tactics, positions, to actually learn the game, you know, because, you know, that, you know, it was part of our whole development. And the CDC now, we had a lot of gifted people there in the CDC. And the CDC had two factions, sort of, you know. The CDCs closer to the market, and those closer to High Street. It's like two factions now. Those closer to, you know, you would have people like Marcellus Martyr, great footballer. You would have Michael Hippolyte, who represented St. Lucia in everything. Football, cricket to the top, you know. And these sort of people from that side there. Next side, you would have people like Wax Bonnet, you know what I mean? On the other side. Now, growing up seeing that we had the privilege of interacting with both sides. And Tyrone Maynard was from the other side too, very, very outstanding. And he was a leader. As a matter of fact, he was our cricket and football captain in Winners' Cup, which is the cricket counterpart to the football wage shield. They had that in cricket too, in the schools. Tyrone Maynard. And it doesn't come as any surprise when you see Tyrone has been led in charge of a...
Still a leader to this day.
Exactly. So you see where the leadership is bred from them early days. I mean, we totally submitted to the leadership of Tyrone because he was superior to us as a player, and that in itself was enough to rally around him. You know what I mean? So, you know, you start seeing all these things coming out of sports and you realize, well, that is something, you know, that's something you must cherish. And as we move along, I mean, I went along and, well, of course, you had, our football didn't, you know, our sports was there. We you know, there and thereabout. St. Lucia never were, you know, tops in the Windward Islands competition. You know what I mean? We were competitive in our local thing, but competitive doesn't translate into standard, because you could, if everybody mediocre, you could still be competitive. You know what I mean?
Let me throw one at you quickly. So you touched on something there about the development of the young men, and well, at that time I guess it was mostly young men playing sports.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the values of the community, was it intrinsic or was it integral in the development of the community, the CDC being as it was?
Yeah, but that's the basis of it. You know, you had it's a community thing, because VSADC, Conway, Spartans, Wilton Yard. Then you have all the Marshall teams, you know, casuals, and so on. And later, because Marshall is a huge community, that's breaking up into further, Black Malay, Maynard Hill. You know what I'm saying? Then Leslie Lands, these things came after. But that is because of the whole community buy-in. And communities were proud to have the the youngsters, on show, to show especially the deprived, communities, to show, well, something good could come out of us. You know what I mean? So, our parents always had apprehensions of, when you see you take pluck and thing and you come home and you're crying and things like that, maybe they'll say, my last day by football side, but, that's expected from parents. But, and if you were fortunate enough, I would have to say fortunate, because not many people made it to secondary school, because there were not many secondary schools, barring SMC. In my time there, from Anglican school, there was SMC and St. Joseph Convent. And there wasn't even comprehensive.
That came about much later in the 70s.
Comprehensive there, yeah. And if you think enough, you could call yourself blessed, because you come into an environment where you have people who understand the value of sports. They're managing a school, which is the Presentation Brothers. And they had us drilled into sports, man. Four divisions, 4 houses, in 6 divisions, I think. So from the time you come to school, because they didn't have no A-level yet, everything would come through. You would go to Form 6. In other words, your program would be 7 years. O-level, 5 years, and 2 years A-level. So right throughout, as you get older, you go in a higher division. So you have to be part. And if you're not part of it, you better find try and be into some Catholic program or something. Some people used to escape the sports because some people just didn't want to take it on. But it was hard not to pass through college and to be involved in sports. And these people, they wouldn't just drive us into the sports. They actually participated with us. They would come and compete. They would come and compete in the senior divisions, the brothers, these white guys from Ireland, and play with us, compete, And one of the ones I will remember, forever remember, is Brother Dominic Brunnock. I hear a debate going on about who should, if that kind of thing about St. Lucian, is only somebody born in St. Lucia should have the right to represent. I don't know. Everybody entitled to their views, eh? But you see, for me, I don't know if I have to choose 3 of the best human beings I have known in St. Lucia, with all my years, Brother Dominic Brunnock must be in that 3, homie. Because this man is such a phenomenal human being. Because I've watched him, and even me, I've experienced what he has done, towards the development and what he can do of a young mind, a human being, to make him feel, to raise his self-esteem, and to make him feel, consequential as Jack creation. Because that man is the first man, he used to teach me mathematics. So it's no accident that is why I went and studied mathematics. Because he used to, if you find a solution, if you could work out the thing, he would call you, come and send you to the board to show your colleagues. So in so doing, you realize that part of the learning process is being able to pass it on. You see, because there had some people who a lot of people who used to cram formulae and cram things, and we call cram, just say things, if you say things enough, do things enough, and it's in your mind, try and regurgitate it when you are required to do so. in exams and so on. Whereas he used to call you and come and show your colleagues. And then you there, he's showing you, he's teaching you to be a teacher one time. And I recall one afternoon, college SMC was playing, I was around 15 years. SMC was playing Shamrock, I think. Top team. And rain was falling, muddy, and I know when Marsha muddy and thing and soggy, not an easy ground. And what? We used to play for Rasta, these canvas boots. And he asked the teacher at the time, he would like to speak to me. And he calls me, you know, because I used to play second division in the SAB before college. And he says to me, he's picking me to play today, this afternoon. I say, what? Where? I mean, that's unbelievable. He tell me, yes, sir, you're playing. And I want you to play. Don't tie up yourself. I know you're always eager to fight for the ball for the team, which is very commendable. Because you know, this is the thing. This is the thing I love football about. I always recognize my limitations at the point of my development in the sport and realize, okay, that I have a role to play. If my role is to hustle and win the ball and pass it on to those who could do more with it than me, I cool with that. I'm not trying to overdo myself or do my colleague, you know, because when we first formed the Cardinals, there's a gentleman named Wax Bonnet. He was such a brilliant striker and footballer and dribbler and everything that he was our go-to man. And we would hustle to give him the ball. But yes, you realize that, yeah, he's our best striker, but he cannot be the best defender at the same time. So within the team ethos, you could be the best at what you're doing. You know, so that's why I love football, because there's a place for you to be the best, even though there's somebody better than you in the team.
Hang on to that thought. When we come back, more Wednesday evening with Sookoo, and of course, a glimpse of the Cardinals.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Welcome to Winner Sports Beat.
For the most comprehensive sports news broadcast, tune in to Winner's Sports Beat, weeknights at 7:30 p.m. Sports Beat features the latest scores, news highlights, and interviews that keeps sports fans informed on what's happening in sports. Winner's Sports Beat captures the pulse of the sports world. Watch Sports Beat for exclusive inside information and breaking news on what's really happening behind the scenes. Sports Beat covers the big games, the big plays, and the big wins. Watch Winner's Sports Beat weeknights at 7:30 p.m. with daily repeats.
For the best cricket updates, analysis, and an in-depth look at the sport around the world, tune in live to Winners TV
every Tuesday from 8:30 p.m.
for Cricket Nation, the only show dedicated to cricket in St. Lucia. From the nations to the clubs, the leagues, and the players, Cricket Nation is your window to the world of cricket. So be a part of the nation.
Every Tuesday,
live from 8:30 p.m. on Winners TV.
Having trouble with temperature in your home or establishment? Feeling uncomfortable and need some relief? Optimum Cooling would love to help. You deserve a contractor that is experienced, skilled, and affordable. Call Optimum Cooling today. We offer a wide range of all your HVAC needs that includes maintenance, repairs, supply, installation, consultation, as well as any other refrigeration services, both domestic and commercial. At Optimum Cooling, we would love to meet with you to determine how we can help. Follow Optimum Cooling on Facebook or Instagram, or visit our website today. We look forward to hearing from you.
It's Wednesday night, Opinionated, my guest, Truscott Augustin. Sookoo, here's the thing. The 70s were a tumultuous time in the world, particularly in the Caribbean. And in the eyes of you growing up, we're talking about, people fighting for independence from the, from the motherland. Well, it's not the motherland, from England, actually. And then we talk about inflation. That's probably your first bout of significant inflation affecting the way we live in St. Lucia. How did that impact sports growing up in that particular era?
Well, boy, I mean, in the 70s.
Yeah.
Well, I spent a major part of the 70s out, in
But you were
Jamaica.
still in the region?
I was in the region. Yeah, but what I want to say, I just want to go quickly to complete that point on Brother Dominic.
Yeah.
And this man, he said to me, all I want you to do, don't tie up yourself. When you get the ball lost, if you win it, just kick it dark, try and kick it diagonally across for the wing man on the next side to collect it. And that's it. And that is how I started at 15 years. And you're talking about more than half a century ago. And this man, he went on to coach a national football team and mentor so many other people. And even when he retired and was supposed to go and enjoy himself in retirement, the man came back and opened the Care, which is, of course, is doing so much good work in the community. He's the architect of Care. You know Care?
Yeah, so
So,
now I understand the roots.
So in life, foreigners, boundaries, and I don't know why we create all these kind of things, color of skin and boundaries and length of hair, hairstyle, and these foolish things that detract us from the true human spirit. And this gentleman, really, really, I would go to war with him.
Any day.
Any day. Anyhow, yeah, 70s, early 70s, going Jamaica in tumultuous times, because the times of this whole tribal war, Siaga and Manly, and enough thing happening there, and the vibes cooking up, the cauldron, getting hot, and conscious music, Rastafari, the youths rebelling against the system and creating music and coming through. And one of the things that, the football went to go through the revolution, the reggae revolution and football. Why do you think they did the reggae boys? You think they just wake up and say reggae boys? Just like, so we could say Zouk Kings if we want, but we ain't feeling that. We feeling that. We're just trying to create a thing. Reggae boys. They know the feeling and the heartbeat.
There's a synergy between the reggae and the football.
Absolutely. Rasta vibes and thing. And Bob Marley. Bob Marley is on record.
Well, if you could look there, you see Bob there juggling a ball.
There you go. Because his manager was a guy named Skill Cole. This man played professional football in Brazil at that time, Alan Skill Cole, that was his manager. And he had that man as his manager because he admired that man's skills. He was even on record and saying if he could have traded his music skills with Skill Cole because,
Football was a heartbeat.
Sure, and these guys used to come on the thing, on the campus and train with us, the Mona team, Bonnie Whaler. I rub shoulders with them and play ball with them, man, I know.
Rub shoulders or kick them down?
Kick them down? Well, I'm glad you say that because at time I come hard on Bonnie Whaler and he skipped the tackle and I slide. And when I look up, I see his studs over me. And he tell me, take it easy, my boy. You know, or you come in.
There you go.
I could never forget these moments, you know. And these men were not so great at that time, but here they used to come, these guys, I love football, and they would tell me, Bonnie Whaler and them would tell me, come down by Old Hope Road with them, you know, because once they realize you could play a little football.
You down for the line?
You're down, man. You Jamaicans.
So can we use Jamaica as a new reference point? Because the same Caribbean. And that, like you said, tumultuous time, the aggression, you know what's going on, things hard. But you said sports was what was keeping you guys together.
Yeah.
Particularly football.
Yeah. Sports have that magical way about of keeping, you know, in the love of life and wanting to, be in it and be part of it and be part of something that's of meaning to people, bring happiness and joy to people when it's being done.
You have two reference points. You have St. Lucia and you have Jamaica. But I mean, the same one Caribbean, one love. But in terms of, we see the participation, we see the community spirit. But in terms of the visage, in terms of the coverage, what was it like back then?
Well,
in terms of in other words, if using the CDC, unless you're living in the CDC, you know what games are playing. So a man living 2 miles out or 20 miles out, there's a disconnect.
20 miles out of where?
From, like I just said, so we're using the CDC as a reference point. If you're playing football in the CDC versus, I guess, Cardinals versus Conway, for example, you only know it because you're in the yard. How would people
Well, okay. What I could tell you is that growing up, they didn't have much sports in the country, you know, countryside. Virtually nothing. You know, all the football was centered in Castries, basically. Until you start having Dames, Notre Dame, Dames they used to call them, with a little competition, and they used to come in town and take part sometimes, and you know, 1-2 of them would go on to make the national side and thing. Cricket was the same thing too.
Everything was Castries.
Everything was Castries basically. Now we spread it out. I mean, which is the thing to do anyway. But what happened is that we get a lot of, we improve the quantity, but we didn't have the infrastructure, both physical and the human resource, to match that increase, to sustain the level of when we were dealing with just the Castries thing, you know.
So you're almost getting diminishing returns.
Diminishing returns. And we cannot say we shouldn't have done that, because you have to. You have to spread it out. As people develop, you know, and resources spread, and people start getting access, building fields, playing fields, and so they want ownership of the thing, and they want to do their thing, and you know, that's what it was. It was basically in town. But Cardinals now. Cardinals, this revolution, man. For me, it started with Cardinals, because when we were in college, a lot of us, those of us graduating around 69, 70, you know, we used to line together in school and so on, and then when come to leave school now, we finish our schooling, they had several clubs, because we used to back Shamrock, we used to back Sibayo. We had choices where we could, you know. But that would break our line, because the line was so important, you know, Hermie? Staying together, being together, that was so important, you know. So we your father, bless his soul, deceased Roman, came along, and he decided that let's make a club. Let's form a club, my brothers. We call it Cardinals, all in red, you know. And we bought into the idea. And with the nucleus of CDC boys, because your father was a CDC boy, your father himself, he didn't play much team sport, but he was a good sprinter, well, better than average sprinter, 100 meters, 200 and so on. And also table tennis. He was good at that too. But he got involved in the lime, the party, the drinking rum and thing, in them time, Palm Beach and, And we wanted our lime to think, so we formed this Cardinals Club where youths from all around Lance Road, Conway and thing came together, and then we went to second division to qualify us to go up to first division, because when you have a new team in them time, you can't just automatically say you have a new team and go and play in the big league. You have to go in the SAB and win.
You had to get your stripes.
So we went there. In other words, the focus of football we made VG the focus of football, because that's where the football was thing. With Wax Bonnet, Bishop, Paulino Smasherin, that's his name. And all them man there. Jerry Boat, you see there. Gregory Chabon. Yeah. Play for Cardinals. Quite a Martin Weeks, Chester Thomas, myself, Hala, Subot Simei. Yeah, man, and that was a nice days. But we had, in 71, I went up to Jamaica, and by 72, so Cardinals was. But we had 2 great years. So I studied in 5 years, I really honed my skills and really understand the game better, because Jamaicans are just fanatic about football. And I joined that fanaticism, with no apologies. And it just becoming more fanatic in me, the whole football. And by the time I come back now, I ready, but not realizing that the system ready for Rasta to give to King Rasta.
When you compare, and at the time, right, the resources were about similar. When you compare what Jamaica's football was and St. Lucia's football, significant difference?
Absolutely.
And we're talking 71 to 75 in that area there, right?
71, yes, and no, but you could see glimpses. Those people, those of us who had the talent, because growing up, and playing started, I wouldn't consider myself. There were many youths ultimately more talented than me. But the point of learning, staying fit, that's important, and in sports, that's so important, not sports alone, in life. You may start here, and you see somebody else start up there with all that talent and all that thing. And then because they take it so lightly, they don't give much attention to it. They don't develop themselves, they don't discipline themselves. And then while you're inching up, you see them going down till you pass them. But that's where I thought my career was going. It didn't start as this, and I met so many players that were better, And so we had players, talented players, but a lot of them, because of, there really wasn't reward at the end of the day so much for committing yourself and devoting yourself that kind of way. That, when you reach 30 years, and you don't have a job, you don't have nothing, and you're a good footballer, a good cricketer down here. Just, boy.
What's next?
What's next?
So on that note, let me ask you this question. You mentioned earlier, when you were a young man, at that time, you'll say, man, your parents had the ideology that it was football or sports can take you nowhere.
They never. Sports, yeah. Sports is just something you do. So, you just do that to have fun.
So that can't be the primary focus?
No.
The focus is either go to school or get a job? And could that be one of the reasons why we did not see the growth?
But that's absolutely what I tell you, because even in my situation, I compromise a lot of my academic thing just for the attention I pay to football. Because that's where you realize that it's being good and staying there and being good and getting better. It's not easy if you have to be totally focused on the academic at the same time with that. You understand? Something got to give. You understand? Yeah, and I think, our great sportsmen never got the opportunity to get into an environment where they could really show what they have. But skill for skill, we always, because when I look back at Wax Bonnet, Anthony Wax Bonnet, who I think is the most divinely gifted footballer we have ever had in this country, in terms of what he can do with a football, and his speed, his wide range of dribbles, his guile, everything. And I watched some of the things he used to do. We used to find it so funny, man. Some of the demand dribbles you used to find, we couldn't imagine, because the man would have a ball in front of him and the defender stopped, the free to come closer, and he turning around the ball and as soon as the defender thing, bam, push it through his leg and run, and the defender can't catch him. And you watch people, Neymar and all them kind of man trying to do them same kind of thing.
So let's stay on that topic. Wax is definitely the greatest solution you've ever seen play football. Give me your other top four. In no particular order. Just give me the top 4 footballers that really impressed you throughout your career. Not just that era, but your number of years when you've had a solution.
There was a gentleman named Nuffy Linkson. Nuffy Linkson was great. Nuffy Linkson?
What was his attributes?
He was a midfielder where he could move up and attack and score goals. But more like I was still in Anglican school when Nuffy left early, but most people wouldn't know about Nuffy Linkson. Victorine Weeks, outstanding. As a man who started playing the game so late, and to be able to play a wing back, to move from wing back, central defense, midfield, and on the forward line. Brilliant career. Brilliant career. Jayut was my captain when I played for Baccarat. Much younger than me, I submit completely to Jayut, to be under Jayut, And with him trying to put them Baccarat youths together in a football kind of thing. Jayut.
And what impressed you most about Jayut?
His skill, his ability, he's calm. He's calm, man. When he executing, he's not flustered. He's just so confident in what he can do, what he did while he was doing it. And somebody we don't mention at all, because maybe, there was a guy named Botti from the Boulevard. This man was a great footballer. Strength and skill. But, Botti was the kind of person, I say for Botti just living and playing, and, Then you had a man like Ronald Norton Ferris. Oh Lord. This man could have played football, man. This man was a powerhouse, kicking the ball, dribbling. You can't take this man ball from him, Stuart Charles had a good year or two, but he didn't play long enough for me to, But on the whole, my footballer, all time, we're talking about the players' abilities and so on. But all time, the commitment, the passion, in totality, nobody, not in this life, not after, will ever come close to guess who? Come on, hazard a guess.
In modern era?
All era put together. Hazard a guess, man.
I would say Tono, but you don't think me.
Tono? Who's Tono? Who's Tono? Oh, your uncle? That's a nice joke. Yeah. You ever heard of Trevor Flecky Anderson?
Yeah, true.
Oh, all right. You see, you're like, he's like, a breeze. You're expecting me to come with a whirlwind, but I give it breeze. This man that man is like a breeze in football. That man is a footballer. That man has character. My goodness. It's just amazing. And the other day I was on a bus with him. I always meet him and we always chat. And I tell him, Flecky, just now it's 60, about when we first 50 years we first played together, Next year, in 74, the man played for VSADC. I was on holidays from Jamaica, and I played for VSADC that year. And coming after the youth competition, where the youth won the first Caribbean competition, Flecky came right into the VSADC side, 74. And the man has been there without unceasing for 50 years. Flecky's still going and train in the morning, going and train women,
Yeah, the female coach.
But really? I can't understand that.
So would you say that VSCDC team, which had 3 other players that you mentioned there, was probably the most complete team that you had seen in the Solution football history?
Yeah.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
When we come back, more with Sookoo, Opinionated on a Wednesday night.
Yeah, that's VSC.
St. Lucia, it's that time again. Time for the St. Lucia Red Cross 7K Fun Run Walk against NCDs. Register today and get your friends, family, and co-workers to join you. The Red Cross 7K Fun Run Walk takes place on Sunday, November 26, 2023. Registration forms are available at the St. Lucia Red Cross headquarters, Red Cross groups at all secondary schools, as well as the Baywalk Mall and the William Peter Boulevard. Every Saturday until the walk. Walk your way to a healthier lifestyle. Register today and let's get moving.
Welcome to Winner Sports Beat.
For the most comprehensive sports news broadcast, tune in to Winner's Sports Beat, weeknights at 7:30 p.m. Sports Beat features the latest scores, news highlights, and interviews that keeps sports fans informed on what's happening in sports. Winner's Sports Beat captures the pulse of the sports world. Watch Sports Beat for exclusive inside information and breaking news on what's really happening behind the scenes. Sports Beat covers the big games, the big plays, and the big wins. Watch Winner's Sports Beat weeknights at 7:30 p.m. with daily repeats.
Having trouble with temperature in your home or establishment? Feeling uncomfortable and need some relief? Optimum Cooling would love to help. You deserve a contractor that is experienced, skilled, and affordable. Call Optimum Cooling today. We offer a wide range of all your HVAC needs that includes maintenance, repairs, supply, installation, consultation, as well as any other refrigeration services, both domestic and commercial. At Optimum Cooling, we would love to meet with you to determine how we can help. Follow Optimum Cooling on Facebook or Instagram or visit our website today. We look forward to hearing from you.
For the best cricket updates, analysis, and an in-depth look at the sport around the world, tune in live to Winners TV
Every Tuesday from 8:30 p.m.
for Cricket Nation, the only show dedicated to cricket in St. Lucia. From the nations to the clubs, the leagues, and the players, Cricket Nation is your window to the world of cricket. So be a part of the nation.
Every Tuesday,
Live from 8:30 p.m. on Winners TV.
Winners TV Wednesday night. Truscott Augustin in the house. So Sookoo, here's a question for you. You saw the development to get us to this point. You had a chance to look at the region and see Jamaica. But somewhere along the line, we stopped developing at the necessary rate. When you talk about, the numbers, the involvement, the participation, both from fans and players, and then you look at what we are now. There's a book, Michael Anthony, Cricket in the Road. And we talk about, back then, we had everybody come out. Like you said, you played not because you thought you were great, but it was how you express yourself. You want to be part of the team, part of the community, part of the line. And then we saw somewhere along the line that route changed. That whole perception of sports changed. Did you notice it happening, or it just hit you, like a train?
Yeah, well, I noticed it happening. And it hit me as a trainer at the same time. Because 3 years ago, I'm not a gambling man, but I would bet that beach football would go on and on and on. And you know what? You go on the beach there where we just be all the time, every day for years, for decades, and you won't see ball playing there,
Now, there are mitigating factors. You don't even have a beach there anymore. The water has come right in.
No, that's not the reason, trust me. They have enough space. Don't try and fabricate something there. Don't come with that to me. Something else, boy. That's why I tell you, there's something, boy, in the air. I don't know, boy. And this thing happens so fast to me. Just within 1 year, 2 years, and you pass the youngsters along the way. I still do the beach, I still go to the ball, I still ready when they're ready, if they're ready, I may not play, but I are ready to be there with them, and ting them up. But you pass them there, they sit down by their phones, watching some game or the other.
On the beach?
Not on the beach.
Oh.
Close to the beach. You don't see fellas running on the beach anymore training. You know what I mean? So, it was coming, and it still come. You could see it coming, but the rapidity of it is still going to overwhelm you because it happens so fast. That, and we keep, what we tend to do a lot is say, the youths. But there's a saying, the fruit don't fall far from the tree. And maybe we didn't do something right, obviously we didn't do something right.
The batter wasn't passed.
That this thing could happen that way. And I watch, and it's not only in St. Lucia, I talk in Caribbean. You're watching, I don't know if you've been watching the World Cup cricket thing. You're watching the level the bar is, 400, teams pushing 400, over 400. By next year, so 500 would be a regular score in 50 overs, And then, bam, a game finished there, tune to our local thing, and you watch a final regional thing, Leewards versus Trinidad. Leewards all out in a 50-over game for 148 runs. Tell me about it, man.
So let's stay in cricket. So we had the West Indian era, because at the end of the day, we all West Indian, when we were dominating and at the very least competitive. We're talking about late 70s going, well, for me, started late 70s, when Clive became captain, and it went at least a decade. We were it. And there was no solution dominant or a major player in that team. We also had it even when in football, when Haiti made the World Cup, Trinidad made the World Cup, and of course Jamaica made the World Cup. And of course, we were never close to these ranks. Is there a reason why we as West Indians, and that's a general question, are not able to sustain that level of competitiveness and dominance?
Well, one of the things that whatever we're doing in terms of our societies, we're engineering our societies, that it's not given to team building. Because in spite of that, you've seen the emergence of individuals excelling, especially and where you see that most is in athletics, super runners, as we have Alfred there, and jumpers there, we had Laverne, but these people, you will always have that where people push themselves, beyond what, to the levels where they feel, they could push. But then you can't push 11 other players, 10 other players. You understand? So you might have people who are passionate, but somehow the team, we're unable to find that kind of ethos, that kind of, and the whole team ethos is just not there, homie. And as you see, the decline of team sport. And you're right, our cricket is in our football. Like, when you look at, they're trying their best, maybe they'll put double the amount of teams who could qualify for a World Cup.
Just against it.
And then Jamaica and them will make it again. I know.
So is it a question, so you say that basically the issue might be more intrinsic than it is structural? As to our lack of ability to not just get there, but to stay there. We cannot sustain it. I don't know why. I don't have all the answers. I don't have answers. Again.
But the team thing, we're terrible in that regard, man. And we'll still get Julian Alfreds coming out of the woodwork, Laverne Spencers, and after that, a great skill sprinter and thing. But to get, and it seems these modern sportsmen getting rewarded more.
Significantly.
And why? Why is it not happening? Because we be pampering them, and mediocrity is our norm now, Augustin. In the Caribbean, mediocrity. We accept that. You mentioned, we don't build on what we have, so we're reinventing the wheel all the time. We pack those that were there that could benefit. And
mentor.
Yeah.
You mentioned Laverne Spencer. I mean, we have seen Laverne Spencer, we've seen Julian Alfred, and of course we even had Darren Sammy and a couple of young cricketers come through. But are these more like outliers as compared to being, the process? Because we don't seem to have a tree. We don't seem to have that continuous.
But that's why I tell you, it's people, because, let me face it, Darren Sammy had some really special things going for him,
Right place, right time.
Right place, right time. Among the right people that was around him, who could really, make things happen. I don't want to take away from his...
No, he grabbed the opportunity when it became available. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, nothing sometimes luck favors the brave.
But it's not everybody going to get that. It's not everybody going to get that. Some people have to make it happen for themselves. Because when Vivian Richards came into West Indies side, he didn't get there easily because these little islands were not recognized. He had to bang down the door, force his way in, and make sure by the time he get his foot in, nobody, can jam that door on him again. But and this is what professional sport is all about. These guys get a chance, bam, they don't do nothing with it. You get on the West Indies team without a century now, Puran was captain of the West Indies team, and he hadn't played 10 first-class games, you know. You realize that? And how low can we have the bar? And then we expect him, we have so much high expectations of him. I mean, talent, yeah, but...
Okay, so let me throw on this one at you. In the 70s, early 80s, when we were, particularly in cricket, when we were, I would say dominating, there wasn't much difference in the level of cricket between the Caribbean and England. Well, my family hadn't opened up policy where we could have sent players and we could have trained them there. Once the level of resources changed significantly, you see disparity in the quality of cricket that we're putting out now. Can we bridge that gap moving forward? Or are we stuck with the Purans and the new breed that we have in there?
Well, I don't know.
Because the disparity is resources.
Because
and directed resources at that.
It looked like we stuck with it, because you look at from Puran to what's his name? The new captain of the 2020, Rahman Powell. I mean, 5 years, how many years now they say the man can play spin? Up to now, from the time you think you come and bat, they just look for a little spin bowler to throw it up for you. I mean, you know, I feel, you know, our mental capacity, sometimes I wonder, you have to say something about that. You know, that our ability to figure out things and find solutions. And I think we have a problem, a serious problem, especially in St. Lucia too, man, of finding solutions to things and not whining and pining over things, every little thing, and find solutions, find ways to look for solutions, you know, and to deal with situations. And the other thing there that we can't play down is that the alignment of the people's consciousness about, you know, the universal plight of the race, I guess, with apartheid at that time. It's like was something a rallying cry, like, you know, to black man that, you know, you ain't nothing, you know, you think you're something, you ain't nothing. So you say, I ain't nothing, I'll show you, I ain't nothing, but I could beat the S out of you, you know.
Rough times make strong men.
There you go.
So what's the situation now that strong men make soft babies?
Boy, I don't know where you're getting anything from.
So let me ask you this one. Let's bring it closer to home. Mid-80s to the end of the 80s, St. Lucia had a dominant spell, so to speak. And maybe I use the word dominant
it was
in terms of football, volleyball for sure. And even our netball teams, you know, were coming back with silver.
Yeah.
Was that...
We had a little promise our boxing and...
All right, so was that a moment in time that goes on history that we could have built on, or was that just literally we were beaten up on substandard competition?
These questions you're asking me there, I'm not taking these things like that, you know,
no, you
understand how these associations working.
So here's my thing.
Red Sparrow could more
we taking as
because he was in charge of, you know, he held the fort for a long while all these things were on a level, you know. And we must give him credit for that too, eh?
Well, you can only beat who's in front of you, and I completely agree with that. But I'm not trying to take away from the athletes and the administrations that put together those teams. But when you look up in the grand scheme of history, we had that 3-4 year run where we were doing things. But then, if you notice, we kind of get stuck in neutral. We didn't progress beyond that.
The Caribbean as a society on the whole, check it out. I mean, how would I say that? Nearly all the islands into tourism now, you know. I don't want to say nothing bad, sound like I saying anything bad about tourism, because before people try to chop my neck and say, that's what we have and that's the only thing we could do every day. That's what we have. But yeah, that's what we have. But that's not the only thing we could do. I mean to tell me, you let agriculture sink to that level notwithstanding the decline of the monocrop banana industry. You know, after having invested so much in projects and programs like Small Farmers Diversification Project, you know, and a lot of money was spent so much money on the fishing industry. The Japanese gave us millions of dollars. We have nothing to show. You know, we don't even have boats that could go out there for days. We still canoe on them kind of thing. You know what I mean? After so much. So we you know, we had a good time. We had a good time with all, you know, when the bounty was flowing, you know, all the grant money and what. And we just say, well, you know, at the end of the day, nothing is running. Let me bring in some fellas to build some hotels, man. And just bring in food from overseas. You know, if we don't have it here, you know, and agriculture goes nowhere. Human development, they talk about youth development and these things, which is good, youth economy, but sometimes you wonder if that is related to only to people that play in a certain role with computers in front of them, and you know, and not people that have mud between their toes. You know what I mean? I don't know what we're trying to, because I not seen agriculture going on. Listen, man. Right now, this country has no food, you know. If you don't believe me, I don't know if you just go by the market, or if you go in by the marketing board, or if you go in by the supermarket. Les paysans pas ni pièce manger from here. They're telling us eat local. They're telling us about food security and where it is, you know. And if you happen to see it, what about affordability? You know what I mean? There simply is not local food, barring when you see things and it's people that doing that. It is no human input into mangoes and things, you know.
So it's a question of direction and thing there. Now we're talking about funds, of course. You can't just make a direction without having the funds. Coming back to sports, are we in a situation where that we shortchange sports in terms of direction? In terms of, we talk about youth development and all these things there. Budgets have been put together, but do the budgets fail to adequately address the needs in sports and sports development?
Yeah, because we don't recognize up to now the value of sports. That ball there, you see, I'll bring that ball there for a reason. You know what that ball represents? That ball is a result of what you call a One World Football project. There is this gentleman named Tim Jarnigan, and he's a lyricist and a rock star show producer. All right? He's a philanthropist. You know what that is?
Yeah.
You have a lot of money, and you have money.
You like to support and
you want to spend
give the
something
strength back
to help humankind. And he was watching a documentary about Darfur. Darfur is a place in Sudan where you have a lot of war and so on and so forth. And he also said that he brought that out. He watched the video and he saw personal for himself. You know, he was flying over Gaza. And not now, before, the Israeli planes had just flown over and bombed. As soon as they fly over, some little children come out with a little ball, a plastic thing they tape, playing football. And he was so touched by that.
Spirit. The strength for the human spirit.
Yeah, what the effect, the joy, a little football. Now they tried over the years, FIFA, them, to distribute football as much as they could over the years. But here what? This football get punctured. When it punctured, it gone. So he decided he need to construct a football. So he commissioned some people in the University of Berkeley, California, to work on something. And as a result, they came with that ball.
Take a get punctured.
it can't get punctured, it's unpoppable. In other words, you step on that ball. You just reinflate.
And you could appreciate the conditions. I think we've
So
all seen what's
a
happening.
tractor could pass on that and it just come back up.
And the game continues.
And the game continues. If you put it under the water, it through the valve there, water will enter and it will full it. So if you go in, you play ball and you buy a stream or something and you have to walk for a good distance, you could fill it with water and you could still get water to drink from it. I mean, really. And the man, so the man who put me onto that story, he said when he heard about that story, he was so moved by it. He was never interested in football or any such thing. But it touched him that somebody, and they realized what football really is and can do. So when he got in touch with the people and to acquire a couple of these balls, because you could only get that, you can't buy them things in a shop. You have to go online or whatever. And he got a couple. And he said to himself, when he come down, you have to give that to somebody. And he said the first person that struck him was me. Because, he recalled from a youth. He seen me on the beach all the time. And he feel, well, they have nobody else he could give that ball.
There you go.
So he got to know, in touch with me. And, and I felt so honored.
Rightfully
so I have that ball up to now.
Rightfully so. And thank you for sharing.
And that day now, that jersey there, that outfit there, I just have that there, in a museum. That's from CDC, 1976-77. That's almost 50 years old, that jersey. I treasure that, I have that there. Because we haven't talked about CDC football team. That's another team. Cardinals and things. CDC produced two teams in the history of football, Cardinals and CDC. And these teams didn't last long, but those who witnessed these teams play football, it's an indelible mark. You can't forget the kind of football we played. It was so refreshing, but it didn't last long.
So let me ask you this question, and coming on the backdrop of the CDC thing, you talk about being exposed to young men at the time who played, but we didn't have the opportunities to move forward. Given that we're not philanthropists and we don't have access to all the resources, whatever limited resources we have, should it be streamlined to things that are more like sports that are more likely to yield better results in terms of economic movement and again that?
Whatever resources we have should be streamlined.
In other words, you have a whole gamut of sports, and gamut, because the budget for sports, of course, is limited as to anything else.
No, you see that's why I'm telling you, we're spreading ourselves too thin. It's much the same way that each sport, like I tell you, basically we were basically a football and cricket nation, And it was played mostly in castries. It spread through the rural areas.
That need to decentralize.
And eventually to its detriment in terms of quality.
Yes.
No?
Yeah.
Right. I'm not saying it shouldn't happen.
It's just that the necessary wasn't there.
Juxtapose that against that same resource have to spread among other sports that you go into the whole island with. Nowhere get enough to get anywhere. Nowhere getting enough to get anywhere. And it's all well and good for people to say government must put more, government must put more. But, government have to weigh a lot of competing interests. Because if we want roads, we want education, we want health, we want everything, and we still want that. So maybe we need to get out of that through philanthropists.
We need our own. So
They're not putting enough in sports. Those who are doing really well.
I think so. Here's a question for you though. Seeing where we are, given our our limited resources, seeing what the benchmark in the Caribbean is, can we look forward to a quick turnaround and say that we can actually see sports as a significant contributor to the GDP? Or we just talk it to ourselves talk?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if you want to say, personalities like celebrities like Darren Sammy could promote the island, make people know they have a place called St. Lucia. As far as he goes, he plays, and people are aware of that. But other than that, in terms of our earning ability, we don't. I don't know. I don't think we have St. Lucia have much of that. Like you would have, the fellas the Pollards and the Trinidadians and who play in leagues all over the world. Maybe their country, and that's still not so significant to add value, the GDP so much to the countries. But it has more to do with promotion of the country. Like, it's not what both earnings would bring specifically to Jamaica as much as
the visibility that they got.
The whole Bolt cult could, interest in where the hell does the guy come from, man? I need to go there, man. I need to eat some of the food that guy eats, man. You know what I mean? Because that is the thing about the whole thing. Just like, like reggae music too. Reggae music, the earnings bring a lot back to the country, but also the interest.
It's a package.
The interest may even bring back more. The interest it creates in the environment that nurtured that kind of thing. So when we go out there and we perform,
it should garner the interest.
Yeah, on all levels, Because I've heard people come to me on the beach, white people, and say, we come here every year, and they come and look for me, They come and look for me because I remember you when we first came here 10 years ago, and blah, 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 and I wasn't even aware of that. And we just playing a little something on the beach. And we don't know them people there watching us and enjoying us, So, it could help. But I don't know, boy. There are no quick fixes, And
definitely no free lunches.
No free lunches, but we as a people, we have to love each other and be in each other company. I know how we could teach our children to if we could pull it back again, because the world getting so impersonal,
So you say that maybe the best thing
I don't mean personal to attack people personal,
Sure.
But to love each other and be together on things.
Let me bring back the lime.
You have to bring back the lime, man, and not just bring back the lime to, in the way they have it now. The lime now is, what it is.
Any last words, Sookoo? Any last words?
Yeah, well, what can I say? I hope, I don't want to song like all is lost, because it's far be it from that, But we can first, by those of us who raise in families and have children and so on, trying our best to have them involved in sport. Whatever they like, they choose. Don't choose it for them, because sometimes you want to choose it for them because you like it, Because, I was guilty of that. I wanted to put my son in a football school. And while playing football, he discovered he could run. And he make it out there because he could run.
There you go.
You know what I mean? So there's opportunity for education, for opening up yourself. There's opportunity there, and we could, encourage our youth. And I try to do that with my youth. And I think more people should try and do that, encourage the youth into sport, because it's not sport against academic. It's complementing each other, because the mind is ultimately more healthy when you're into sport.
The balance of life, my brother.
Yeah, so we could start with the family again, start from the beginning, do re mi. Let's start from the very beginning,
Julie Andrews reference. Sound of Music. My brother,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming through.
Yeah, man.
I really appreciate the conversation, the knowledge.
Yes.
And let's do this again.
Really, the honor is mine, because, sometimes, you have to remind people that dinosaurs walked the earth one time. So when you bring a dinosaur like me, they'll say, oh,
A talking fossil. And on that note, I want to thank our very special guest, Mr. Truscott Augustin Sookoo.
I appreciate it, homie.
For spending the evening with us.
Yeah, good.
I want to shout out the boys in the back room who make it happen.
Yes.
The Lone Ranger Johnny, and of course Bag of Rhythms, and as always, Opinionated every Wednesday. Let's do it again.
Yeah, man.